Yeah.
I'm interested in solutions. So I looked up to see who were some of the people that were able to prevent their homes from, like I Googled and searched which houses made it and why. That's what I'm interested in. Which houses made it and why. Type in Michael Johnson house fire. Yeah. And it's a story, let me see who it's by. It's a story by Michael Johnson.
You need to put Olympic athlete. Michael
Yeah,
Johnson.
put Olympic
With
athlete.
the gold shoes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was the man. 200-meter dash champ.
So, okay.
Medal.
Wealthy homeowners and their insurance turn to hire, okay, this is the one, to fight LA fires, okay? Go a little bit lower to the Michael Johnson side. Let me see which one. Okay, there it is. When former Olympic gold medal sprinter Michael Johnson heard the Palisades fire was heading his way, he knew his multi-million-dollar hillside home in Malibu was in danger. Johnson didn't simply dial 911. He turned to his private firefighting system for protection. Johnson pays $5,000 a year to lease the system, a pump and hose apparatus that can draw large amounts of water from his swimming pool to help fight the progress of wildfires and backstop the city's municipal firefighters and hydrants. Okay, so this is a system. I think he said there's about 500. It'll tell you how much water is in the pool. Just as Johnson and his wife started hosing down their property in hopes of preventing any embers from igniting, a man sent by the system supplier Fire Defense Service showed up to help them. The Johnsons soon evacuated, believing they would never see their house again, but the man from Fire Defense stayed behind to help protect their house and a neighbor who was a client. His plan was to fight it if it came, Johnson. As the inferno engulfed, tensions have flared over the crews of firefighters. And then there was another story. If you go a little bit lower, Rob, another person shows their house why it made it. And keep going lower, and he says the equipment you buy, says the problem with wildfires is the stuff you have inside the house. So if you Google, Rob, houses that made it from the wildfire. So once the fire gets in the house, the inside the house is the stuff it has. That's what causes it to just explode. You have a lot of things that, so the equipment you buy to make sure, I'll send it to you here in a minute while we're going, but I think it's one of the above, Rob, that shows houses that actually made it. That's the one right there. Zoom in a little bit, Rob. Okay. Why these homes survived the LA fires. Go a little bit lower. So this is what I'm interested in. More than 12,000 structures have been wildfire originating single homes. A brand new house in Pacific Valley, designed and built by our architect Greg Chase in the Northern Summer 2024, could have easily been one of them. None of other homes around it survived, and the car parked out up front of a neighbor was perfect vector to spread the flames. Yet on January 9th, after a night of devastation, Chasen found the house intact, barely touched by fire. A photo of the house posted on Malibu Architect went viral on X, and a thread on Reddit swelled with guesses about who saved it. Can you open that up? Let's see what that looks like. Okay, I think it's the same. That's the same house. So you see that house right there? No word. The guy, the owner of the house, said the following. Can I read? Yeah, there you go. No words, really, just a horror show. Some of the design choices we made here helped, but we were also very lucky. Zoom in a little bit. That's his house. Look at the stuff on the left, and look at the stuff on the right. Okay, so now go back to the story, Rob, if you could, and let's continue. Luck was the biggest factor. Chasen concedes, but it wasn't providence alone. If it weren't for several fire-resilient design strategies, the home would have been destroyed. This house was a personalized labor of love and a dear friend. It means a lot from corn. Thousands of Angelinos are still at risk. Anyways, so go fireproof and let's see what it says. Go a little bit lower. Some of Chasen's fireproofing decisions stand out in the picture. The yard is protected area free of vegetation, fenced off by cast-in-place concrete garden walls with landscaping and sparse Mediterranean dessert style. The homeowners has been through fires before, so he was prepared. He removed rubbish bins and other loose items from around the house and even left the side gates open, knowing that a fire can spread along a fence to a house. We were unfortunate that the neighbor parked the car adjacent to the house. There's molten aluminum in the picture, 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. That wall prevented a lot of heat from getting into the house. Other design factors were more subtle. Along the side of the house, there are no eaves or overhangs, which can form eddies or trap embers blown by high wind. The house doesn't have any attic vents to allow sparks to get inside the roof, which is metal, with a fire-resilient underlayment layman, and the house is simple, front gabbled without multiple roof lines. I mean, this is the part where if somebody is thinking about staying in LA and building a house, call this guy Chasen. Yeah. That guy's going to get a lot of phone calls because this is the perfect commercial for him. I built this house. Would you like me to do the same for you, right? Think about that. So then I go on seeing which insurance companies in California or other insurance companies are looking at a solution to addressing the wildfire issues. And I find this story on Wall Street Journal from December 16th, okay? This is pre-fires. Think about it. December 16th is a month ago. Rob, I just sent it to you if you can pull it up. December 16th, insurance startup has a plan to cover uninsurable homes. This new insurance company raised $30 million and is writing policies in California wildfire zones. Hopefully they're still in business because that was a month ago, okay? Mark Mitchell spent more than $100,000 to make his family home in California, Santa Cruz Mountains, more resilient to wildfires after it suffered damage when a nearby redwood growth burned in 2020. Despite his efforts, he couldn't find an insurance that could have covered his home for more than 2 years. That is until Friday when Mitchell signed a contract with Stand Insurance. They are the only company that has been able to figure out how much we've done to protect our house and that it's a reasonable risk to insure. Stand is a new insurance startup that seeks to cover homes in areas other insurance are banning because of risks from natural disasters like wildfires and stuff. The company says its simulation software allows it to better predict risk and identify improvements homeowners should make to increase resiliency. This guy used to be a guy that was with Metromile, which, if you know Lemonade, now publicly traded company Lemonade. They've done well for themselves. Insurance companies are not people are not financing insurance companies right now, but these guys got the $30 million. One of the things, Tom, thoughts for you is while this is taking place, what if the governor goes out and says following, hey, we have to think about solutions and we have to bring problem solvers in here. We're dedicating $1 billion towards startups that come and present to us with a board of 7 people that are founders of companies that have built multi-billion-dollar companies. And these guys come and present their ideas and their opportunities. And you greenlight $30 million to this one, $20 million to this one, $10 million to this one, $50 million to this one, $40 million to this one, with the hopes of people trying to find creative ways of solving this issue long term. What do you think about that idea?
I think it's a great idea. I think what happens is sometimes, innovation comes out of just forward thinking and great futurists and visionaries. Other times innovation comes out of crisis. And I think right now we've had enough wildfires in California, number one. Number two, we've had enough of samples of wildfires outside of California. I think the Telegraph fire was in Arizona, I believe. Is that right, Rob? And Lahaina. So you have the crisis set, and I don't know if the state would be the one that would figure it out. But if you had a board of proven entrepreneurs that are figuring out where this goes, then I think you've got a great chance of succeeding because you've got a bunch of entrepreneurs there that have built things that understand what it takes. And it's not just bureaucrats making decisions. I think the key to success, what you talked about, would be that board of entrepreneurs that are making decisions. Okay, this is what we're going to do here. This is what we're going to do here. There are right now, there's been innovations in insurance, such as they use drone technology and they fly around. And if you told them that you have a 1965 Corvette and it's parked in a garage and it's locked and they run this drone around your neighborhood 3 times and they say, it's not parked there. You have an extra large driveway. It's parked to the side under a tarp. That's not as safe from theft as it would be in your garage. We're going to underwrite you differently. There's a lot of ways where there's innovations that are out there. And I like the idea of having innovation at the
what's that, Rob?
intersection.
So Pat, this is in Japan. They have a 200-year-old village called Kayabuki no Soto. Okay, they have a firefighting system, and when people talk about they don't have the money, that they have money, guys, and you nailed it. It's preventative. What are you doing? Because you know what's going to happen. When I was in California, they started retrofitting my apartment and because they know earthquakes are coming. If you know a fire's coming, look at this clever thing that they have in Japan. Look at this. They know a fire's coming.
Fire extinguishing in Shirakawa Village, Japan. ancient thatched houses over 250
These are
years
flammable as
old
hell.
hide a stunning secret.
Boom.
An automatic sprinkler system. When a fire breaks
awesome.
out,
I mean-
60 sprinklers instantly pop up and spray high-pressure water like a giant fountain,
Boom.
quickly extinguishing the flames.
Yeah.
The
Does
Does
annual
California have anything like that?
No, absolutely not, Adam. Because they're spending money on $24 billion on homelessness, and the percentage went up 40%.
But they solved the homeless
Oh
crisis.
yeah, because
in
it went up.
California. They didn't solve homelessness.
No,
in
they
California?
invested in homelessness, and it went up.
Stop it.
Yeah,
California?
Yeah, California.
Really? I thought they fixed it.
No, they invested in it to
Unbelievable.
make it get crazier.
Unbelievable.
So that's the thing. There are
They had a
solutions.
war on homelessness, but homelessness won.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like the war on drugs.
So there are solutions, and like for instance, is there that fire retardant stuff that goes on the airplanes,
Excuse
that
me?
red stuff? Sorry, Adam, but very offensive word. Spray the house. Do something. Give these people give them hope. There has to be a solution, but we have stuff on Mars.
What's the crime if you're the person that started the fire?
Arsonist.
What's the crime in California?
Arson.
It's arson, and you are in deep.
But what is it though? What is the levels of punishment?
Oh, let's find that. Billy
levels
Joel wrote about this,
of
I believe.
I think arson that leads to
punishment.
death, Pat, is you can be subject to capital.
Let's see this.
capital-
Arson in California is a felony that can result in imprisonment, fine, and restitution. The punishment depends on the type of property burned, of the crime. Imprisonment, the length of time depends on the arson, ranging from 60 months to 9 years. Convicts may face up to $50,000 fine. Restitution offenders may be required to pay victims for damages. Go ahead. Go pull up. You need Elon Musk type of money to pay the damages.
Yeah.
Probation convicts may be placed on probation for up to 5 years.
Not enough.
No, I
Not
think
enough.
If you're getting,
Let me tell you something. Because we're starting to see these people that are coming out of the woodworks, they're arresting them from their homes, and they're finding out that they're arsonists and they're setting fires.
dressed up as firemen. One guy got in
Some
trouble
guy tried
dressed up as a fireman.
to break into somebody's house and try to steal stuff as firemen. These people, when you talk about accountability,
Look at this guy, Pat. Look at this.
Who's
this
this guy?
This looks like a Melrose area. It looks like it. I think this is LA.
He's lighting a fire?
Yeah, look. And then boom. This is like,
Okay. So, I said something pretty controversial a couple years ago, and people said, "Are you kidding me?" And then it turns out, oh my God, I wasn't that crazy. I said, if you're a school shooter and you do something crazy and you go in and you kill a bunch of people, a bunch of kids, I said, and then you end up killing yourself. I go, where are the parents? Let's find these people. They said, well, parents can't be held responsible for the crimes of their kids. And then what happened in Michigan? The parents get arrested. Because all of a sudden they're like, no. Whatever we did in the past can't be what we do moving forward. Past performance can't predict future results. Hold the parents accountable. So if you're telling me some arsonist in California just burnt down the entire city of LA, basically,
Yeah.
and he's going to face a $50,000 fine and 7 to 9 years in jail, him
Rob,
and anyone
pull this
associated
up.
with him
I got
needs to be
you.
held accountable.
I got you, Rob. But Google arson crime punishment by state. By state. Okay. Watch this here. Okay. Zoom in a little bit, Rob, so we can see it. There you go. So it depends by the state. Florida, it's 30 years
good.
in prison.
Good.
While in California it was 9 years. Okay.
That's a retard thing, because are there fires in California or are there fires in
Exactly.
Florida?
Exactly.
It's so backwards.
Rob, can you maybe type in what state has the most severe punishment for arson? Has
Great
the most
point, Pat.
severe punishment for arson? Yeah, I'm just curious right now. What state is it? According to Available Information, California is widely considered to have one of the most severe punishments. It's 9 years. It's not that bad. What are they talking about? What is it? Tell us what it is. Go a little lower.
But you do have the death penalty potential.
Where do you see the death
where
penalty?
arson results in fatalities.
Okay. In extreme cases, which are unlike the death penalty, has a person ever had a death penalty in California for
Yeah,
arson?
does California even practice the death penalty?
Well, let's see this here. If somebody has anyone ever California death penalty, no,
First,
California
no,
does
no,
not allow.
hang on.
It doesn't even have the
penalty
death
for
penalty.
arson
Go down, go
because
down.
of federal court. California arsonist gives death sentence. Okay, so Ricky Lee Flower has been convicted of murder over 2003 fire that caused 5 heart attack deaths.
Breathing and yep.
Fire get killed 5. So this guy died. Is Ricky
give him the
Lee
death penalty?
Fowler dead?
Well, hopefully not the golfer, because he's a good guy. But who's this guy?
Ricky Lee Fowler. What is that? Can you? So in terms of Ricky Lee Fowler, yeah, I want to know if this has happened, Because when something like this happens, there has to be an example made at the highest level. And when the example is made, then from there, it gets some people's attention. Not everybody's attention. It gets some people's attention. But I can't. Again, if I'm the governor of the state, the first thing I want to do is get the smartest people in front of me. We're going to have a full-on meeting to come up with ideas on what to do with this. What money do we need? Who do we call? Who do we raise the capital from? Problem solvers are in my state. Let's get to it. Let's get to find out what happens here. Rob, did we find out if this guy died or not?
I can't find that he was put to death, so that leads me to assume that he's still on death row.
Ask Brandon, can one of you guys check this? Ricky Lee Fowler, death penalty, California.
Yeah, and just so we know, because there's a lot of speculation, people are wondering. I saw satellite imagery of all 3 separate fires starting at the same exact time. I keep seeing videos of these arsonists, black hoodie, like Antifa-looking guys. Juan, the guy that got arrested in Woodland Hills, Pat, the guy that was walking around with that yellow blowtorch at Kenneth Fire. Guess what? They arrested him. He's a Mexican national who's entered the U.S. illegally, has a criminal history, including a 2023 conviction for assault with a deadly weapon. He's currently held on a felony probation violation. He hasn't been charged with arson due to insufficient evidence. He had a yellow blowtorch in his hand trying to start stuff on fire. ICE has placed a detainer on him, but California, here we go with California's sanctuary state policies may prevent local authorities from honoring it, potentially hindering his deportation. So the guy running around with a blowtorch that civilians, the people in the hills had to stop him.
You can't
He's
arrest
illegal.
him because you might be considered racist.
By the way, check this
everyone
out.
knows that. You can't do that.
Ricky Lee Fowler, the arsonist convicted for starting the 2003 oil fire in California, was sentenced to death penalty.
Good for
As of
him.
January 2025, there are no public records indicating that his execution has been carried out. Given the lengthy appeals process typical in death penalty cases, it is likely that he remains on death row.
So why do they have the most strictest policies
So
then?
no, they don't.
They
have
don't,
the most
right?
strictest. They don't have the most strictest. It's just this is a prime example of you have to make an example of the people. Okay, you have to put what's the phrase? The fear of
God.
death, the fear of God, and the fear of death into people who do things like this. And who benefits from this fire? I'm trying to see, who actually benefits from this fire? If you were to think about who benefits from this fire, insurance companies don't benefit from this fire. Who benefits from this fire, Tom?
Well, ultimately,
I'm trying to think like if there's something behind it. Because you know how the Chase Hughes guy that we had on the podcast who said, anytime you see a massive event that takes place, and then they come up with immediate solutions to say, this is what we have to put cameras, this is how RICO and Patriot Act and all this stuff happen. Who, in a PSYOP form, I mean, this would be the darkest PSYOP of all time. Who actually benefited from this fire?
Real estate developers.
well, yeah, real estate developers in California
Construction workers
are going to be employed for a good long time. So the entire construction industry in California benefits, but it's not like a flip of the switch. It's not like the airline stocks the day after 9/11, right? This is going to take some time for deals to be awarded and things like that.
Well, remember the WEF? They said you'll own nothing, you'll drive nowhere. They won't let you have cars. You won't have to leave the city. Those 15-minute cities that they're talking about, they just want to keep you in there. They want to keep you. They don't want you driving. They want everybody. Did you see that video of China? There's a new video of China where you can't even go to certain sectors, Rob, of China unless they do an ID check of your face. Like China's locking down. So if you're an elite, it's one of those 15-minute city things. I'm trying to figure out.
Can I respond
go
to
ahead,
that?
Raj.
Own
I'm gonna
nothing
send
and
it
be
to-
happy, real quick, Pat.
Yeah.
So when they say those
Just
things
don't
like you'll
repeat. Just don't repeat that stuff that people have said. But go ahead. Let's see what points you're going to make.
all right, they say own nothing and be happy. Well, it depends on what you own. So we're having a conversation here about whether people should buy. Pat, you said that the average age of someone in California was 37
yeah.
years old, right? So what they're going through in life right now is probably they're not officially settled. We all know that people are waiting longer and longer to get married and longer to have kids. They're going through this strategy. I always say that right now in your life, you should have low overhead and high flexibility. We talked about insurance. You know who loves talking about insurance? And you know who loves buying insurance? Nobody. Nobody wants insurance. Nobody wants car insurance. Nobody wants health insurance. Nobody wants life insurance, but you need it to protect yourself. They said it's called insurance in case happens, right? So nobody wants this. But now boomers, you'll see this article in the Wall Street Journal, how millennials officially have it worse than their parents, which were the boomers, when it comes to buying real estate. And what were the, Tom, you would remember this, what were the lowest and highest interest rates in the early 80s if you were going to buy a house?
Oh, right. The minutes after, so it got to 14, it got to 16, it got even higher than that.
Exactly.
This was the end of Carter and like the first year of Reagan while all of his reforms
I want to say
getting
it's high as
pushed
18%. It's basically buying a house on a credit card. So I'm thinking like, hold on, what?
Yeah, that was pure peak, right?
Okay, so, and go back to the top of the article, Rob, just so we understand my point here. Millennials have it worse. How is that? How do millennials have it worse? Now, if you go into these graphs, it'll show you. It basically comes down to supply and demand. So, they say that when you're buying a house, there's another article here about basically how taxes, here it is right here, insurance and taxes now cost more than your actual mortgage. So Vinny for 2 years would ask, is now a good time to buy? Is now a good time to buy? Is now a good time to buy? What these articles are basically saying, that is the worst time to buy. So, in California, you talked about who the people are there. You're either the have-nots or the have-yachts, is what they call them. The haves or the have-nots. If you have millions of dollars, you can afford someone to, whatever Michael Johnson did,
still don't know what
you're going to
saying.
be okay.
I don't know what you're saying.
What I'm saying is now is a horrible time to buy a piece of property. It is possibly the worst time that we've experienced
in California,
in the country, and especially in California.
Okay, got
now,
it.
if you've got a ton of money, you're going to be okay. But if you're the average person, I can't tell you how many messages I get from people on Connect that say, hey, I'm 24 years old. I've been told I should buy property. I said, really? How much money do you have saved up? Like $3,000? Oh, yeah? What's your credit rating? Oh, not that good. Do you have any kids? No. Why would you buy a house? And then they say the same thing every single time. What do they say? Well, I've always been told that renting is throwing away money. You don't have any money. You can't afford a house. Go save money, put money into the stock market. And that's my point right here. Own nothing and be happy. Yeah, if you own assets like stocks or crypto or I own REITs, real estate investment trusts, you know where you can take that? Anywhere the hell you want to go.
Got it.
And if your house burns down, you don't have to worry about it.
Perfect.
Is there something that I said that
No, I was
that
trying
you
to see
disagree
if
with?
you're not disagree with. Are we on point with what we were talking about? But your point was made. It was about finance, what decisions to make, what decisions not to make.
Isn't that what it all comes down to
Sure,
for these people?
I get it. I understand. But in the context of the story that we were in, specific to California, trying to find solutions, this would have been something that's a complete different side story. But I get what you're saying. Let's just move on. Folks, for those of you that are excited about what's about to come up here January 20th, and you supported the president, the collection, the limited edition hats, the 250 sold out in no time, and everything else right there. There's limited supplies left. The red, the blue, white, and red. I think there's a few of those hats left. This is something you buy and just said, like, if you come into my office, I have the Future Looks Bright hats from this team of what we experienced, and I have it in my office. If you come and see it in my office, I have some of these hats in my office. This is something you buy, you sport, you wear, and then you set it aside in your house, in your office, because you will forever remember 2024, what it was like. And for some of you guys that supported it, fought it, did it in your own way, this is a way for you to say, I contributed during 2024. Go order the gear. And if you got friends, if you got angry Patriot friends like Vinny, and you go to them and say, I got a gift for you. You give them something like this, you put a smile on their face. Again, represent the brand. We got the shirts. We got the hats. I'll always say this. Numbers came back. We were trying to see what the number was going to be for 2025. 2024, we ended up having over 120,000 pieces of merch sold in 2024. Just 3 years ago was 600. Future Looks Bright is becoming a movement. We're going to have 1 million people worldwide wearing this gear, representing it right now. Mario was telling me he was walking the other day having a shirt on at church. He says a guy looked at him, and he just looked at him and pointed at the logo, and they kind of winked, and they walked off. The Valuetainment crew, when they see each other, it's a very interesting gang around the world.
It's kind of like in the...
Whether you know it or not, you're a part of it.
It's kind of like in the movie Old School when they know.
Like,
You know.
Yeah, so
Part of the-
whatever Adam said, folks. Go to btmerch.com. Place your
Part of the
order.
fraternity.
And for those of you that have the
Godfather.
families in California that are affected by it, we raised $108,000 on last Thursday, where we said 100% of it's going to go to families in California. If you know anybody, shoot me, Tom, Vinny, or Adam, a Manect of a story and their phone number. We may just surprise FaceTime them and help them out. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.